The transfer Don, Fabrizio Romano, has signalled the opening of the January window by announcing that Spurs will be busy and make at least 3 signings. Meanwhile, Liverpool fans are up in arms that another club have had the temerity to bid for one of their players, and some of the biggest players in the world, including CR7 no less, are now able to talk to other clubs about potential free transfers in the summer on pre-contract agreements. Exciting transfer times. All this and more on today's episode of Daily Premier League Transfer News with me, Barnaby Slater. Guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. Please do help support me. Give this video a like. Let's get it seen by as many people as possible, and also do subscribe to my YouTube channel for daily transfer content throughout this window. I'm heading towards 15,000 subscribers, so if you're not a subscriber and you want daily transfer content, always starting with my beloved Tottenham Hotspur, of course, please do press that subscribe button. And also you can listen on the podcast platforms, be that Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever. Just go over there, type in the Spurred On podcast and give me a subscribe or follow. But let's get started. And as I mentioned, it would be no transfer window unless Fabrizio Romano was ramping up his content output. And he has said the following about Tottenham's January plans. He said they've already told Big Ange Postecoglou, the manager, that they will do something. So I expect January to be busy for Spurs. I think it could be 2, maybe 3 or more signings. It will depend on opportunities. Now, that, I think, can only mean good news for Spurs, because Romano has his head absolutely in the crotches of all of the agents around Europe. So he will know that Johan Lange and Scott Munn are doing their business. They're getting in touch with agents. They're getting in touch with the agents who represent clubs, and they are finding out who is available, what it will take to get them out of those clubs. And this may not be something that you Tottenham fans all love to hear, but I think they will especially be sniffing around potential loan deals, which is why that Jack Grealish potential move is something I talked about yesterday and something that could potentially happen because he's on the market. But also at those pre-contract agreements, the players whose contracts are now running into their final 6 months, and they can talk to clubs from abroad about potential free transfers in the summer. And that's where the likes of Angel Gomez, of course, the England number 6, and Tottenham are looking at number 6s, will be someone like him who will be interesting the club at the moment. Because not just about potentially getting them in on free transfers for the summer, but can they then offer their clubs a kind of more nominal fees between kind of 10 and 15 million pounds to get them 6 months early and help us during this injury crisis and with the rest of the season. Of course, Tottenham still in all the cup competitions, and that is now what the club, I think, will be concentrating on and what they will be trying to sell the club on to some of these players. Do you fancy coming in and potentially getting involved in a trophy challenging season? Next up, Spurs have opened talks with Werder Bremen in Germany over the signing of their keeper Michael Zetra. A loan has been discussed with an obligation to buy in the region of £8 million. Bremen will want a replacement before any potential agreement. So that goes with what I was saying in yesterday's video as well. Tottenham sniffing around potential reserve goalkeeper opportunities. Bremen, they like their keeper. They want £8 million for him, which is quite a lot for a keeper from the Bundesliga. But for me at the moment, and as I mentioned in yesterday's video, I don't think Tottenham will be going for a big money keeper to come in. That's why maybe the £20 million quoted for James Trafford from Burnley might be putting them off a little bit. So something akin to kind of £8 million for someone to come in and then pick up where Fraser Forster has left off. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if that is the last of Tottenham's priorities at the moment. I think they're looking for defensive cover and cover in the forward line far more importantly. I think that's what's at the top of their list at the moment. Quite an exciting one for me. A player who I wondered why Tottenham weren't interested in when Chelsea let him go. And then he came with Milan to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and did a real number on us in the Champions League when we were under Antonio Conte. A player that I think is a good potential signing for Spurs and is internally being discussed by the club is AC Milan centre-half Fikayo Tomori. He's a player who's done really well in Italy since he moved there from Chelsea. He showed really good numbers when he was at Chelsea as well. Obviously, Tottenham and Chelsea still, even to this day, don't really do business with one another. So the fact that he's moved from Chelsea to Serie A means that a move to Spurs now could be a possibility. Ange Postecoglou wants a new centre-half, and I like him. He's good on the ball, he's quick, he's strong, and of course, he's homegrown. And it wouldn't include the English club to English club tax, which is basically the money that goes on top of any signing that an English club makes from another English club. But there would be, of course, a bit of a homegrown tax. But that is a player I would be interested in. And if Tomori was looking to come back to the Premier League, I would want Spurs to be in there because he would make a really good option for Spurs, especially obviously at the moment when none of our centre-backs are fit. And Radu Dragusin is just kind of hanging on in the team with an ankle knock just because we don't have any other experience in there whatsoever. But if we could bring in Tomori for something like 20, 25 million pounds, 30 million pounds, that would be a good signing for the future of Tottenham Hotspur. Can't go today's opening day of the transfer window without mentioning the debacle, the weirdness that is Dani Olmo and Barcelona. Basically, every agent around Europe right now, every club around Europe are suggesting that they are interested in taking Dani Olmo because he is available on a free transfer. Barcelona have not been able to register him because of their financial issues. The Spanish FA have refused their appeal, and as a result, he could be available. However, he has come out, Dani Olmo, on his social media and said he only wants to play for Barcelona. Meanwhile, all the reputable journalists around are saying that Manchester City are working incredibly hard to try and get him in. Of course, there are rumours around saying that Tottenham are interested in him as well, but who wouldn't be? But I can tell you this now, and I will be blatant with you. Tottenham Hotspur will not be signing Dani Olmo. And if we do, happily clip this up and meme me to death, because Tottenham will not be getting him in on a loan deal. They will not be getting him in at all as a Spurs player. He will have bigger fish to fry if indeed he does leave Barcelona. But I think most likely is that he'll actually just stay at Barcelona, wait it out until Barcelona find a way to get the funds to make him stay at the club and play for him, because he's such a brilliant player, had an incredible Euros, and unfortunately that ship has sailed when it comes to Spurs. If Spurs are going to sign a player like Dani Olmo, then realistically they have to get him way before he has an incredible European Championships and way before clubs like Barcelona are sniffing him out. A more realistic potential move for Spurs, though, is that Tottenham and several other Premier League clubs are considering a move for Celtic forward Nicholas Kuhn this January. He's having a superb season in Scotland, 25 goal contributions in just 25 matches for Celtic, and even the German national coach Julian Nagelsmann is taking a look at him. Now, obviously, big Ange Postecoglou, ex-Celtic manager, he will be watching all of those Celtic games, and we are, as I said, looking for additions in the forward line. And Kuhn could be an interesting one. Keep an eye on that one, I reckon, because that is far more realistic. And I'm just pleased to see that far from maybe just 2 weeks ago when Ange Postecoglou was suggesting in the press, and some of the reputable journalists like Ali Gold were saying that maybe Spurs wouldn't be that busy this January. Well, it's clear now that the board and Johan Lange and Scott Munn and Ange Postecoglou have all agreed that they need to be doing business now. They need to be doing business as quickly as possible. He needs help. And one thing that I think is really going in favour of Ange Postecoglou at the moment, despite the appalling form that we have and the appalling injuries we have, is that what is happening at Manchester United with Ruben Amorim is showing that if you just make a change now, it's not necessarily going to give you the bounce that you think it will. And therefore, with not very many kind of definite replacements available for Postecoglou, if Levy were to pull the trigger, I think he is now kind of a lot more Levy is a lot more kind of vested in keeping Ange Postecoglou till the end of the season and trying to give him the opportunity to show that he is the right man. I think Ruben Amorim and Manchester United, and just the kind of vitriol within the Manchester United fan base as to how ruined their club is from inside to out, is showing Daniel Levy that actually maybe this is the real time to stick with a manager and give him a proper chance. The other clubs interested in Nicholas Kuhn are Aston Villa and Newcastle, with Brentford, Brighton and Palace tracking him too. I'm always a little wary about when Spurs are linked with players who are also being linked with the likes of Brentford, Brighton and Crystal Palace. I shouldn't be, of course, because Brighton and Brentford have an amazing transfer record of bringing in young players and then selling them on for huge fees. But the fact that Villa and Newcastle are interested in him too, for me, show that he's a genuine talent. Celtic paid only £3 million for him from Rapid Vienna back in 2023, but they'll be looking to nearly treble their money should they decide to cash in on him to a Premier League club this January. And it's, of course, the versatility that is something that really suits Spurs. Ange looking for players who can play all across the forward line, but he's at home first and foremost on the right wing, Kuhn. Another player that Spurs are looking at is Daniel Peretz, the goalkeeper. Like I said earlier, Spurs are looking at goalkeepers. Other names on that list, James Trafford, Guillaume Restes. Another player being linked with Spurs at the moment, Olivier Buscagli, the PSV player. He only has 6 months left on his PSV contract. So like I said, Tottenham looking hard into that kind of cheaper deal, free transfer market. Let me know how you feel about that in the comments below, guys. Does that really annoy you? Does that just show you that Daniel Levy is unwilling, as usual, to break the wage structure, to break the transfer structure, and to bring budget forward to spend in January? Just looking for more kind of disappointing loan deals and free transfers? Or do you think it's kind of prudent in this market to be looking at players who are running down their contracts? The reality of it, I have to say, guys, for me, is that players now do run down their contracts a lot more freely than they did 5 or 10 years ago. They're less afraid of the danger of getting injured before their contract runs out, and they know that if they get into the last 6 months of their contracts, they will have all of the options in their favour. They'll have the chance to go on a free in the summer and get a huge signing on bonus, or they'll get their choice of moving to clubs that want to come in a bit earlier for them in the January. And that's where Tottenham are looking around. Some transfer news on potential outs from Tottenham Hotspur. Lots of interest in Will Lancashire, apparently, with some clubs even ready to see whether he's available on a permanent deal. But because of Spurs' injury problems, nothing happening there really this January. That's according to Alistair Gold. I would be very surprised, for instance, if Spurs were willing to let Will Lancashire go on a permanent deal anywhere this January or in the summer. I think, frankly, he has shown enough to score away from Galatasaray, make the right run to score away in one of those huge games at a very difficult atmosphere. I think he's shown that he has the cojones to play for Spurs. I think he needs to fill out a bit more. He needs to learn the ropes. But I like the look of Will Lancashire. But a loan move at some point would probably make sense, although more likely next season based on the kind of injuries that Tottenham are currently trying to deal with. Some news from RB Leipzig regarding Timo Werner's loan. They have no interest in taking him back this January. He is one of Leipzig's highest paid players, and if his loan was to be cut short, the club would have to pay that salary themselves. And he's not in their plans. That's according to Bild in Germany, and that will, I no doubt think, disappoint a number of you Spurs fans watching who want us to cut ties with Timo Werner this January. But I think in reality, with the amount of injuries we have, we need as many legs as we can. So we should keep Timo. But all the reports coming out that not only that Leipzig don't want him back this January, he's not in their plans in the summer, and he won't be in Tottenham's plans moving forward in the summer either. So Timo Werner is going to have to look for a new club from the summer onwards. Just some other news. Gangwon FC CEO Byung-Yi Kim has been asked about Son Heung-min's influence on the Yang Min-hyuk decision to join Spurs. He said the following: "I know they spoke, but I don't know exactly what was said. I just know we had a lot of clubs contacting us about Yang in and around April, not just Tottenham, but he only had eyes for them." And the news on Yang Min-hyuk is he's already been in London for over 2 weeks, staying at the Lodge, the hotel at Spurs' training ground, with his agent, taking more English lessons and undergoing a physical program put in place by his new club. Of course, he is today an official Tottenham Hotspur player now. He can officially train with the club. That deal has gone through on the 1st of January. So we do have more legs in the building. Whether or not Spurs have been able to kind of secretly allow him to train while he's not been officially contracted to the club, I don't know. But based on some of the stuff that Daniel Levy does that's underhand when it comes to things with Tottenham Hotspur, it wouldn't surprise me if they had him out on the pitches somehow in the last couple of weeks. And we do need legs, so let's hope he can hit the ground running and maybe offer us something different going forward. Who knows? In regards to Sergio Reguilon's future, Spurs are looking at trying to get a new left back in January, someone who can play centre back and left back. And Reguilon's contract situation, he's in his last 6 months, means the club would take any offer that arrives for him, which would leave it in the hands of Sergio Reguilon himself to decide whether he likes any of those offers that come his way. However, he did get 40-odd minutes in the first team the other night, didn't he, because of Destiny Udogi's injury, and who would have thought we'd have seen Sergio Reguilon getting 40 minutes for Tottenham Hotspur under Ange Postecoglou. So in the short term, over the next few games, he might get more minutes, so I doubt we'll see Reguilon leave, if at all, but if he does, probably towards the end of the window. And then Fabrizio Romano also talked a little bit about Ange Postecoglou's future from what he's heard from agents and from within the club. He said it's obviously a difficult situation, but what I'm hearing is that Tottenham keep supporting and trusting Ange Postecoglou. The January window is going to be important and they will need to do something. But that is Fabrizio Romano saying that Tottenham are planning to stick with Ange Postecoglou, and I personally think that is the right decision. Okay, guys, before I get on to some more wide-ranging Premier League transfer news, once again, please do give this video a like if you haven't already. Thank you so much for your support. I'm trying to get towards 15,000 subscribers on YouTube, getting closer and closer, so please do give me a subscribe if you haven't already for daily transfer news from across the Premier League this January, and of course, always starting with my team, Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. A difficult time for us at the moment, but maybe some excitement coming our way because of transfers. Okay, starting at Manchester United, and as I mentioned, Barcelona's failed attempt to register Spanish forward Dani Olmo for the second half of the season has opened the door for United and City to sign the 26-year-old for free. That's according to Mundo Deportivo in Spain. United and Juventus have also shown serious interest in signing Barcelona's 28-year-old defender, the former Chelsea centre-half, Danish defender Andreas Christensen. I like Christensen, and if he was coming back to the Premier League, I'd want Tottenham to be sniffing around him as well. Is there a deal to be done to take him off Barcelona's hands when they are struggling financially so much? Man United, Juventus and Napoli are interested. Juventus and Napoli are interested in signing Man United's 23-year-old Netherlands striker Josh Zirkzee, who of course got booed off the other night when he was hooked by Ruben Amorim after just half an hour. And now the Mail is saying that clubs in Italy are interested in taking him off their hands. He looked like a bit of a maverick player in Italy. He came from there in the summer, and obviously he hasn't hit the ground running at Manchester United at all. But I think to sell him this early would probably be a mistake, unless, of course, Amorim has already decided he doesn't suit my style of play. And the way that the Manchester United fans at the moment are kicking up a fuss over their difficulties, it doesn't look like many of the United players suit Ruben Amorim's style of play. And of course, he's looking to get Rashford out the door. Rumours he's trying to get Zirkzee out the door. Very interesting to see what will happen at Old Trafford over the next few months. And like I said, I really think what's happening there is saving Big Ange Postecoglou at the moment at Spurs. But let me know what you think in the comments. Over to Liverpool, and as I mentioned in the opening, Liverpool fans are absolutely livid. They are beyond themselves with rage because Real Madrid have had an approach turned down by Liverpool to take Trent Alexander-Arnold this January, to give Liverpool a fee for a player who will, if they don't accept that, and it seems like they won't, he will go on a free transfer in the summer to Real Madrid, and I, for one, think good for him. Why shouldn't he? Liverpool fans with some kind of entitlement that they're the biggest club in the world, not at all. Trent Alexander-Arnold has done incredible things for Liverpool. He's won a league, he's won a Champions League, got to numerous finals, and he's let his contract run down just as he is allowed to do. It's his prerogative. And if Real Madrid come calling for the best players, just like Spurs have seen, Modric, Bale, when Real Madrid come calling, you cannot say no. And Trent Alexander-Arnold has every right to go there on a free transfer. Now, if Liverpool want to get some money for him and reinvest, then maybe they should let him go this January. But also I can see from their point of view why they wouldn't, because they are going for a title. They're in all of the cup competitions still. So maybe they'll say, better for us to keep him in the team, keep his creativity, and try and win as much as we can, and then say goodbye in the summer. But if I was a Liverpool fan, I wouldn't be kicking up a fuss. I'd just be like, thank you for everything you've done for us, Trent. Go over to Real Madrid for a few years like Steve McManaman did, and then maybe come back. Michael Owen wanted to come back to Liverpool after he went to Real Madrid. And then Liverpool, I think it was under Rafa Benitez, played stubborn and didn't let him come back to Liverpool. But I think Trent, he's 26. He could go there for a couple of years, 2-3 years, and then come back to Liverpool or the Premier League after that. Liverpool also apparently open to selling Uruguayan striker Darwin Núñez, still only 25 years old, and they've identified Inter Milan and French forward Marcus Thuram, as well as Swedish Newcastle striker Alexander Isak as potential replacements. Isak interesting so many big clubs. Arsenal are always sniffing around him. Newcastle struggle with their financial fair play and their profit and sustainability rules, so he is always seemingly on the list of players who might be moving at some point. Over to Chelsea, they're eyeing Ipswich's English striker Liam Delap, the ex-Manchester City player, 21 years old, and they're also looking at Brighton's Republic of Ireland striker Evan Ferguson as they look to provide competition for Nicholas Jackson. And that is relevant because also Barcelona apparently sniffing around Chelsea's 27-year-old French international forward Christopher Nkunku if they fail to register Olmo at some point during this January window. Liam Delap at Ipswich, I really like the look out of. He's quick as well as a really good hold-up play, good finisher. Obviously ex-Man City, and they've got a buyback clause on him, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But Chelsea, as ever, looking to get in all of the best young talent in the country. Speaking of Newcastle's Alexander Isak, he is prepared to stay at the club, but only if they finish in the top 4. That's according to The Sun, and that would deal a blow to Arsenal. And at the moment, actually, Newcastle are in 5th place, and all things looking like the 5th place team in the Premier League will get Champions League next season as well. So that's something that could stop Arsenal from signing him. Newcastle also interested in Burnley's 22-year-old keeper, James Trafford. He's one that's on Spurs' list, as I mentioned earlier in the episode. And finally, Cristiano Ronaldo, CR7 no less, has refused to rule out leaving Saudi Arabia and his club Al Nassr this summer. He is free to negotiate with other clubs from today. And you cannot help but think Ronaldo would like one more dig at European football, or maybe going over to the MLS to try and show up Lionel Messi. So be interesting to see where Ronaldo ends up. Let me know in the comments where you would like to see Cristiano Ronaldo play if indeed he was to leave Saudi Arabia. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching today's first episode of the month of daily Premier League transfer news. I'll be doing this every weekday this month, bringing you all the transfer talk and the gossip and the tittle tattle. Please do like this video if you like what you saw. Please do subscribe to the channel. Like I said, trying to get towards 15,000 subscribers. I'm getting on my way there. Help me towards it if you like transfer videos. Always starting, of course, this month with my beloved Tottenham Hotspur. And you can become a member of the channel or Patreon member. Just £1 a month helps support me make this daily content. All the details of how are in the description box below. Have a great day, guys, and Happy New Year. Cheers.